Let's bring up BJ Bass here. Now, he's an NBA guy, developmental league, and he does a lot of great things with the NBA, so let's bring him up here. BJ, welcome to the Artie Clear Show. How you doing, pal?
Artie, how you, buddy?
I'm fast and loose here, and we're talking sports and talking more sports, and then we're talking sports again.
Yes.
I feel like I got sports on the brain, like water on the brain, but there's sports on the brain here. Why don't we tell everybody?
Better than working, right?
If this is work, I'll probably die loving it. That's for sure. If this is what they call work, to talk about sports and bring 7-8 guys on the show, and that's all he does, talk about sports and and more sports. So I love it. Like I said on our previous caller, 53 years old. I've been following sports ever since I'm like the first Super Bowl I watched was Joe Namath in Super Bowl III. So since then, I've been following sports, and I watched the '68 World Series with the St. Louis Cardinals and Detroit Tigers, and that was my first time that I really watched the World Series game. My teacher put the TV set in when we were in class and we were in elementary school. So ever since then, I've had the bug for sports. And like I said, I read encyclopedias. I watch a lot of documentaries. I book our show. I created this show 3.5 years ago, and I brought a lot of great people on this show. And some of my idols I've had on this show, like the Rick Barrys and just different type of athletes. Denny McClain will come on the show, who won 31 games in '68. So I love it, man. I love it. Why don't we tell everybody what you do?
Good to meet you, and thank you for having me on the show.
That's great. Now, let's tell everybody what BJ Bass does with the NBA and the Developmental League, because I love, first of all, let me say this to you. I love basketball. I think it's a fantastic sport. It's a great sport to attend. It's a great sport to watch. And my favorite player of all time is Dr. J, Julius Erving from the University of Massachusetts.
There you go, Philadelphia 76ers, huh?
Well, put it this way. When he was in the ABA, I was a Dr. J fan then, and when he came to Philadelphia, I completely lost my mind. I never missed a game in Philadelphia that he played in. I was
one of the first guys that one of the first clients that I signed. Maybe some of your fans remember this name, but I signed a kid out of LaSalle named Vernon Goodrich, and he's a 6'10", 235, just athletic freak, and jumps to the top of the backboard, and he had a nice little career at LaSalle, but he was kind of below the NBA radar, and he was one of the first kids that I signed, and I got him. In fact, his first NBA look was with the Sixers in Summer League. It was about 3 years ago. It was the year prior to the lockout. So he was, he went to Summer League with the Sixers, and then he ended up going to vet camp with Golden State, and then going into the Development League. He was the 5th pick in the NBA Development League that year, and he did well, and then he parlayed that and ended up going overseas, and that's actually been kind of the blueprint that we've been following in growing our agency is finding kids that are kind of below the NBA radar and, getting them in front of NBA people and developing credibility with guys like Pat Riley and Donnie Walsh and Mitch Kupchak, and then, if need be, putting guys in the Development League, which I really believe in as a platform to showcase guys with NBA talent. And then if they have the goods, they can get called up. But if not, they can, raise their stock and get overseas at a higher price point.
The Developmental League put plenty of players in the NBA, Marielli being one of them. They won a couple of championships too, Marielli. In fact, he's an assistant coach for somebody now. I wanted to ask you about Dante Christmas. He used to play for Temple out there. What do you hear about that kid? I know he had a chance to play a little bit in the NBA, but I think he's playing overseas right now. Or is he in the Developmental League?
I think, last I heard he was getting a look with the Celtics. I'd have to check and see where he's at exactly. But, listen, Temple is a serious program. I mean, I actually signed a kid. There's a point guard there named Louis Guzman. I signed him a little while ago. Doesn't have huge numbers, but, I like him because he helped make a lot of those guys better. And, Temple's serious. I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize how good the talent level is and how close it is in the A-10 and in some of these other conferences. If you look at the makeup of the NBA, it's not just the Big East and the SEC and the ACC. I mean, it's a lot of kids from, not that the A-10 is small schools, but, I mean, you look at LaSalle and you look at Xavier and you look at Temple and, even Rhode Island, and you look at some of these kids that have come out. Yeah, St. Joe's, absolutely.
Lamar Odom came out of Rhode Island, right?
Yeah, he did. And so, I think the key to growing the agency organically is scouting hard. You gotta, it's like any other thing that you do. You gotta outwork people. And if you work and you go to a lot of games and you talk and you go sit on the floor and you meet the kids and you see for yourself, you can find talent. And the NBA guys, the executives that you deal with, they appreciate that because they can't get to every game, So the approach that I take is I try to go out to as many games as I can and deal with college coaches and deal with kids and parents and act as a scout. And if you can establish credibility in the NBA guys, if Mitch Kupchak thinks you're going to call and just push anybody, he's going to stop taking your call.
Right.
But if you find some kids that he looks at and he says, wow, this is something that I didn't see, and this is exactly what you told me, then he's going to take that next call. And so
you're building credibility, is what you're saying.
Temple's a great program. It's a perfect example.
Villanova, who's been Jay Wright, the head coach out in Villanova, another Philadelphia school in the main line, has put a lot of talent in the NBA, and Dave has a really good recruit class. Now, I know they were down last year. They didn't play well, but they have a big-time recruiting class coming in there. Also, might be the best recruiter of any college basketball team in Kentucky, John Calipari. 1 year and done over there, and you win national championships. Now, they only drafted 6 kids off of that team, and 5 of them in the first round. And the kid Leggett, I think it was, or their 6th man, he was drafted like second or third in the second round. Calipari, he must get the job done 9 out of 10 times. He knows how to get that talent. Him, Rick Pitino. Who was a really nice coach back in the day is that kid, the guy from Arizona, Lute Olson, used to bring some tremendous talent down there also. And I know the NBA is a NBA factory of basketball players, and it's so tough because the talent is pretty thin that they go overseas a lot of times to bring guys in there like the Peja Stojakovic's and the Tony Parkers or the Manu Ginobili's or the Leandro Barbosas. So they're looking all around the world, Yao Ming, and wherever they can get talent to bring into the NBA. The NBA is not an easy place to play, but if you can get to the NBA, you're one great player. I don't care if you're the 12th man on that team, you're still a great player.
Well, there's like 400 spots, right? So, yeah, absolutely.
It's not easy.
And no, it's really hard. And developing an agency is just as hard, believe me, because you're competing. When you're starting off, you're competing with the CAAs and the Wassermans, and these guys have most of the NBA clientele already, and you really got to find a niche. And what I tried to do, obviously I have a good leverage point here. I mentioned to you when we spoke earlier about Basketball City here in New York City, and that's been something that it's kind of given me a unique access point to young talent and developing and training young talent. And we've had a bunch of the events in here, the hoop groups and the 5 stars, and they've been in here, and so it gives me kind of a unique angle to see talent early and develop it and develop relationships early with parents and college coaches. But there's no question. I mean, there's certain processes and mechanisms that are in place, and the talent gets identified early, and it goes through to the big schools, and usually those NBA kids are identified early, and so you got to find you got to find your niche, and you got to find a different approach to kind of establish yourself. And so one of the things that I did early was try to find guys, like I said, that were A, below the radar, and B, that played a role. I mean, I signed Vernon because he's one of the best shot blockers that I ever saw, and his numbers bared that out at LaSalle and then later in the development league. And then he became Defensive Player of the Year last year in Ukraine in the Super League. But I signed him because he was a rim protector. And, I was watching, I'm a New York guy, so I was watching the Knicks a few years ago, and they were having some trouble defending the rim, and you're just trying to find that piece. I have another kid from the D League, Marvin Phillips, who's been the top rebounder in the NBA Development League for 2 years, and he's one of the most gifted, offensive rebounders on the planet. And so, I really tried to focus in on finding niche guys that could play a role on a championship team, and that's how I've been able to establish some credibility. And now with with what we're doing here at Basketball City, it's been like I said, it's been a great platform for me to take the agency to the next level. And hopefully, we're gonna as the years go on here, we're gonna continue to have some success.
If I wanted to go to a pickup game in New York, what park would I might want to go to?
You want to play outside? Or you want to play inside? You want to come inside? You come here to Basketball City. I mean, this is a great spot. A lot of people around New York City know the place. It used to be on the west side at Chelsea Piers, and they moved over here. They opened up 100,000 square foot state-of-the-art venue here on the East River in downtown Manhattan. It's a beautiful spot. It's sitting just below Wall Street. And, you know, it's got 7 courts, and it's soon to have a little restaurant and a VIP lounge. So it's a spot not only for the pros to come and play and train during the summer, but corporate professionals. I don't know if you can hear the balls bouncing in the background, but you got corporate leagues tonight, and you know, just your average Joe, you know, corporate professionals coming in and playing ball every day. So this is becoming a spot where, you know, if you want to play ball, you want to be down here at Basketball City.
Well, I definitely want to be down there at Basketball City. I'd like to come and see your facility in person. I think it sounds like a beautiful facility, and you definitely look like you have everything on the ball and everything under control. We have BJ Bass here on the Artie Clear Show the first time, and hopefully it won't be the last time. And I want to thank you so much for being on our show. The developmental league that put NBA players either in the pros or get them overseas, or maybe nurture guys till they're ready to play basketball. Could be a couple years, and all of a sudden you get your call. It's almost like the minor leagues. All of a sudden one day the phone rings, and here you are playing in the show. And that's a good thing. And I'm sure you keep all your guys positive, and like you said, you find a niche, and that's a good thing, because everybody needs a niche, and everybody needs defense in basketball, especially when you can block shots. Those guys are not easy to find, and it seems like you are finding them. BJ, I want to thank you so much for being on our show. And, of course, I'd like to come and see your facility in person and give it out one more time so everybody can know.
It's Basketball City here in New York. You can find it easily on the web. You can find me on Twitter. I'm at BJBass2, the number 2, BJBass2. And, Artie, it's great to meet you and talk to you, and I'm happy to jump on anytime and, you know, talk NBA or, you know, organic level stuff, or, you know, or other sports, whatever makes sense.
Whatever you want to do, BJ, I'm fine with it. I think you're really knowledgeable and a good guy, and it's been a pleasure to have you on our show. I've never met you before. I finally got a chance to talk to you, but it was a pleasure to have you on our show, and we're looking to have you back. But we're also looking to come down there and see that gorgeous facility that you're talking about. I might be in the New York area in the next couple of weeks. Maybe I can drop you a line and we can meet in person.
Absolutely. If you want, we could even maybe talk about getting a little broadcast going out of here. Whatever makes sense, but we'll make it happen.
BJ, thanks so much. It's BJ Bass here, and Music City Basketball. And you can just pick BJ up there. He's a great guy, and what a great guest to be on the Artie Clear Show. I feel very fortunate to meet you and to know you, and I'm glad that we had our discussion here on our show today, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks, Artie. Take care, bud.
Right, bye-bye. BJ Bass here on the Artie Clear Show.